Hi, this is Nicole Sodoma. Welcome to our podcast, The Space Between. Today we get to sit down with Johnna Smith, and this is so cool for me because I've known Janna for a long time. She has many nicknames, one of which is the Queen for me. There is just something about Janna that when you're around her, you just feel better. You feel more connected. And when we talk about the space between, we talk about that space between separation or whatever that is for you, whatever that transition in life is for you, and your knowing. And so in today's episode, I want to explore how individuals can help nurture that balance and connection and wellness through holistic practices, through yoga, through anything that we might consider emotional wellness, to find that space between that stimulus and how you want to respond to it, because so much of that is on you, so long as you have the tools and resources. And so that is what this conversation is for me today. I hope it's the same for you. It is a conversation that will dive into what it means to stay grounded and present and whole, both internally and externally. So welcome, Janna. I'm so happy you're here.
Wow, Nicole, thank you so much. What a beautiful way to be introduced.
I wish I could say all that again, but it's just, it just came out of nowhere as usual. Okay, so Janna, tell us about what first drew you into wellness and the work that you do now.
Probably what drew me first into wellness was being a child who had panic attacks and anxiety and living through divorce and just trying to find my own way while there might be a little bit of scatteredness with my guardians, with my sweet parents, of whom I have a wonderful relationship, but from that, looking for tools, like my whole life, to feel better and to feel happy.
Through panic attacks. I had panic attacks growing up too.
Wow. So It's not new.
No, it's not new. I think just even talking about the word panic attacks and what the experience is like, and does it impact everyone the same? And is cognitive behavioral therapy the answer, or medication, or how much in control are you of that environment to manage? Like I had them through, it wasn't when I was younger, it was in law school. I remember the last time I had a panic attack. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a really long time, thank
Good for
goodness.
you.
But figuring that out. Are all panic attacks the same, do you think?
No, absolutely not. And triggered by different things.
Yeah. So knowing where you came from, when did you realize the gift that you had for teaching others?
Oh, what a sweet question. I don't know that it's a gift, but it feels imperative. It feels imperative to share what worked for me. And even if just one person could be positively affected from it, it makes it worth it. I had an end to my panic attacks through some of these wellness practices. And then later on in life, I go to a wellness thing and do a sweat lodge, and the panic attacks came back in the form of claustrophobia. I know, so disappointing. I'm like, where are my wellness superpowers now? Yeah. But new things that happen to us, new circumstances that we find ourselves can bring on. We can find ourselves in circumstances and situations that are a little more imbalanced. And how do we deal with that going forward? How do we step into where we find ourselves currently and do the best we can with that?
So you and I know each other from the yoga world, but I know that yoga is a far cry from what you really do when practicing wellness. I know it's so much bigger than that. Right. So can you talk a little bit about that?
How yoga is approached in Charlotte starts with the physical body. And so that's where most people start, and many, many people stay. And what goes beyond that, of course, is meditation, or these presence practices, are looking at life in its total and trying to bring yoga to each section of life. What I like to teach people through the vehicle of yoga practice or through any of the other methodologies that I do is self-agency. That where we find ourselves in life doesn't mean that's where we have to stay. I like to teach people that they have choice and that every choice matters and that every moment is a choice. And so I do that through yoga practice. I do that through meditation. I do that through nutrition counseling and life coaching, that people have more power than they realize.
So I have to ask, like, how, I think you call it ahimsa. How can we practice, and how can you tell our listeners and all of our clients how to practice ahimsa? Tell us what ahimsa is.
So ahimsa, and this is so apropos, ahimsa literally means, or ahimsa means to murder. And when you put an A in front of a Sanskrit word, it negates the word. So to do non-murdering.
Let's do some non-murdering. Non-murdering. Okay.
So how do we not harm is the more poetic way of describing what that is. How to do less and less harm. And the only way that we can start with that is to do less harm with self, and then it will just spill out. It will have a ripple effect to creating less harm in our environment.
I think of, my days through counseling, trying to manage what I called this roller coaster of freedom and grief. Sometimes it would happen in a single minute. I did not know which way to go, and there were so many questions that I had. Even though I'd been a divorce lawyer for so long, I had this feeling of fog and overwhelm. And I remember in my counseling days, my counselor would just look at me and say, "Have you forgiven yourself yet?" And you really forget how to show yourself kindness and even hold yourself accountable to kindness, not just for the partner in your relationship, but also for yourself. And I would argue more for yourself than your partner, like in that order. How do you help people go through that?
First of all, and maybe this will come up again later, to get to forgiveness is a result of other things having occurred. And you cannot just jump there. We call that in the wellness world bypassing. And in the yogic world, it's called spiritual bypassing. We must acknowledge and express the anger. We must acknowledge and express the fear. We must acknowledge and express the sadness. We must acknowledge and express the guilt and the shame. And once we go through the titration of all those emotions, what's left after the tears, what's left after the reckoning, is grace. And then through that grace comes forgiveness, because when we can see our own humanity and we can see that potentially, eventually, the other's humanity. But first we must focus on finding that within ourselves, that we literally just had a human experience. And as humans, we're meant to have all these emotions, but not to bottle them up. Because when they come up, when we bottle them up, when we tamp them down, they come out sideways. Right? And then comes the murdering.
Okay, but how do you, I think part of that process is, when do you stop? Are you second guessing yourself? Like, which emotions are the ones you should trust?
Well, the emotion is real. It just might not be based on fact.
Right.
It might just be based on story. And so then it becomes a practice of presence. You mentioned having that space between stimulus and response. How to create more of that space in maybe the most difficult time of your life, in the most chaotic time where you're disrupted out of the home, disrupted out of the known, the day-to-day. Even if, what is that old saying? If we are living in suffering for long enough, it becomes the known, and change is very, very hard because the brain doesn't like stepping out of the known. And so just pulling ourselves out of that painful, potentially, experience, it becomes chaotic. It becomes so, we don't know which end is up when we start to take steps toward leaving something that is not healthy and not thriving, a non-thriving situation.
Okay, easier said than done.
Yeah.
And if, whether from your experience or from one of your clients' experiences, or friend or whatever, what do you think the first step is in that process for someone who realizes that they're in this space and they want out and they don't know where to go, they don't know where to start?
So brain science says that the brain doesn't know the difference between a lived experience and an imagined one. And so if we can start to imagine taking those steps, and you can start in the morning and just write it out, or before even getting out of bed, going through in your mind's eye the steps of what it would look like to have the conversation. Remember, you're not even having it yet. You're just imagining it. What it would look like to pack up. Because when you do the imagining, the body will have the neuropeptides, the hormones, the cascade, low-grade fever. Yeah, it will go through all of that just in the imagining. But as the brain is wont to do, wanting to make things easy, it will start to put together ideas on how to get it done. And then, once you've imagined it for a while, and this comes from brain science out of Stanford with a Dr. James Doty's research. From that imagining, you can start to see in your life, you'll start to pick up on cues in reality, no longer in your imagination, to take you into those steps, to take you through those next few steps into the journey that you're wishing to create.
I was telling you before we started today that one of my coping, like when I was triggered going through my own separation, and it's funny because I digress of so many things, but I would stand in the room when I was feeling a lot of stress, and I would literally just do squats. And I remember interviewing a lawyer once for a position, and she was so nervous to interview with me for this position. I said, we're going to take a break, and I want you to stand outside of the room, and I want you to do 10 jumping jacks. And she did. And she came back in, and she was like a whole another person. So can it be, do you think, something that simple?
Oh, my word. Yes. I mean, I have a little course that I send out to people. It's 1 3-minute activity a day for you to feel more empowered, for you to feel more clear and present. So absolutely, jumping jacks, planks. When I was divorced about a year ago, so separated a couple of years ago, and as soon as I made the decision, again, that was the hardest part, but as soon as I made the decision and started the separation process, meaning move out of the house, right, I decided I am joining the gym and I'm going to lift weights because strong body is strong mind. And that was my mantra, strong body, strong mind. I just kept repeating that to myself because I knew the path ahead was going to be very, very challenging. But if I felt like in some of the wellness speak, muscle is connected to confidence. And so if I could feel like that muscle in my body, that confidence in my body, not even knowing what the next steps might be, I could have, I had the vitriol, I had the stamina, I had the endurance, I had the freaking testosterone, right? To take those next steps. Because when we work out, the muscles themselves, I mean, forgive me, but they squirt out the chemicals that make you feel good. Yes. Your muscles, when you work out, squirt out testosterone, dopamine, a little bit of serotonin, a little bit of all these feel-good pharmaceutical company right inside of you, so that we see the world a little more clearly, not so much as we are and what our circumstances are, because our, the vicissitudes of life could just like paint circumstances for us. Instead, we can start to see reality as it is and then base our actions on that.
I love the idea that your body is your pharmaceutical company, because so often we lean, not that it is necessarily going to work for everyone, but there's so many people who don't even realize what they're capable of because they don't understand all of that chemistry. And I've always been really fascinated by it. And I actually, at one point over the last decade, I don't even remember what the circumstances were, but I asked one of my boys what they did when they were stressed. And one of them said they did push-ups. That is, strong body, strong mind, but it was like they were drawn to do this thing to get themselves out of their head. And I loved that. Like they were relying on themselves to deal with what it was they were feeling. And I just thought that was so powerful. Strong body, strong mind. That's so good.
Good job, Mom.
I don't know if they got that from me, but we talk a lot about coping skills. And I think why it's so meaningful to me is, most lawyers will spend so much time preparing their clients for what's going to happen in the courtroom, what the testimony is going to be like. Is there enough evidence? But but by the time we get to the courtroom, so much of the damage is already done. And I say it all the time, like as much emphasis as you're putting on what you perceive to be winning, put more emphasis on what you're teaching your kids, what you're modeling for your kids, so that they can handle not only right now, but what comes down the road, right? Because so much of the damage is done before we actually get into the courtroom. And that is like, there's so much power and control and opportunity. Maybe control is not the right word, but you have so much more control than you think you do, and so many more choices than you think you have in that moment,
100%. There's an old saying in the wellness community: when you are stressed, it's not time to rest. When you're stressed out, when you feel like the walls are caving in, when you feel, chronic stress, that is the time to start working out. That is the time to really start paying attention to every single action that you take. When you are easy and life is well, that is a better time to go on vacation and not use vacation to run from your where you find yourself in your circumstances.
One of the things that it drives me nuts a little bit, one of my favorite humans on the planet called me a few weeks ago, and he said, I've had the worst day. I'm not going to go to yoga. I'm going to go have a drink. And I was like, no, we're going to talk about it right now. And then you're going to go. You're going to go exercise, work out, whatever those things are, because that's what you need to get a clear head. When you went through your separation, what do you think one of the hardest principles of wellness, of yoga, fitness, anything along those same lines, if there are people that are listening that don't do yoga, but as wellness minded as you are, what do you think one of the hardest principles for you to follow was?
I can name two, and both are quietude. One, I couldn't meditate. I could not sit there and meditate. I couldn't do yoga nidra, and I couldn't read. I could no longer, with a book or with a Kindle, get my mind to stay there and stay present. And of course I was in flight or fight, right? The sympathetic nervous system was in charge. Everything was heightened. And so that was very, very difficult. I know some of those tools work, but my body couldn't do it. My nervous system couldn't do it. And I think that's probably very natural.
I couldn't read, but I could write.
Preach, yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's when my most stressful time was when I was writing the book, because I could not read to save my life, but I could write for days. So it was such a release to just get all those voices out of my head onto paper, things that I've never said to anyone, to the people that were closest to me. I remember a friend calling me and saying, I didn't know any of this. Who is this person? That was one of my struggles too. Okay, now what is meditation?
So medi is Latin for to tend to. And so we can think of it as to tend to the mind. Meditation is, at its core, is to be able to witness what the mind is doing and not become what the mind is doing. And I was too involved with what the mind was doing to sit there for meditation. And it can be visualization, meditations. It can be just presence of the breath. It can be taking 3 deep breaths. That could be a meditation. Think of meditation as well, if we really backtrack it to 30 seconds instead of a 30-minute meditation, is paying attention to the breath. Have you heard of this? This is such a cool technique, physiological sigh.
No.
Okay, every parent knows what this is. It is what the human body naturally does if it's crying too hard and can't breathe. Have you ever seen your child, maybe they stubbed their toe or they didn't get their way, toddler size, and they go, and then they through copious tears? So that double inhale or even triple inhale with a slow, long exhale actually is the physiological technique to switch from high stress to no stress. It takes about 30 seconds. So a physiological sigh is inhale and then inhale a little more, and a slow, long exhale. Now, if I correlate that to meditation, because if you could have the presence of mind to recognize, wow, I'm freaking out, right? I'm about to lose and I might make poor choices if I feel like this. Yeah. So if you have the presence of mind to notice that you're feeling that, taking 2 or 3 physiological sighs will literally, it's kind of like a biohack, literally change your nervous system state. When we're in fight or flight, when we are high stress, everything narrows, and the for lack of a scientific term, the reptilian brain turns on, and it's all about survival. Now, if we're only about survival, we don't really make good choices if it's just survival. A broader perspective is when we make the best choices, and the broader perspective is had when we're more in this parasympathetic nervous system. So if you have the presence of mind to notice you're in that state, you have the presence of mind to remember to take a physiological sigh, and then you do it, I would call that meditation. That takes about 30 seconds.
I would love for you to walk us through a short visualization of what this released, like the idea of letting go and being present, understanding meditation, because I feel like meditation is really intimidating. It's a lot for me to stay for a whole yoga class or to stay till the end of a meeting even. Like, I've already sort of checked out when I've gotten from it what I want. So I know that sounds terrible, but it's like I know where my mind is. And so I would love to learn, like, can you do a real visualization to show us what that is like when we're letting go of the old, letting go of an old identity, letting go of who we thought we were for everyone else, but who we really are for ourselves?
I love that. Okay, 2 things are coming up for me. Let me quickly do a physiological sigh with you.
Okay.
And then we'll go through and like maybe we could not call it letting go, because again, that's the action that comes after.
Okay.
Other things having occurred.
Okay.
So how do you want to feel? Like right now?
I mean, I think it's the first question, right?
How do you think your audience wants to feel?
I think that they want to believe in themselves. They want to have the confidence that the decisions they're making are the right ones. That sometimes they feel like they don't have control. So I would say, and control comes in so many forms. So control over a parenting schedule, control over financial matters, control over where they're going to live. They want to know. They want to know what comes next in a otherwise pretty uncertain time.
Yeah, right? So to know what comes next in uncertain times is to have trust. And when we have trust, I bet that we feel connected. When we have trust, I bet that we feel loved and seen and cherished and at one with life. And so we'll focus on that. How can I build more feeling of trust, seen, known, loved? But first, physiological sigh. Okay? Will you do it with me?
You guys doing it too, right? You ready?
Everybody in the room.
Okay.
Right. It's very easy, and it's very uncomplicated. So just wherever you find yourself, take a deep breath in, and another sip, and a slow, long exhale. Takes about 30 seconds to take effect, but legit, that's it. Do it again. Deep breath in. Another sip. And a slower exhale. And some watching this later or in the room now, you might already begin to feel the nervous system switch. Like, oh, I was heightened, I felt a little bit extra, and now, wait, everything's a little more calm. And so getting to that calm state is number one, how to make good choices and get ourselves where it is we want to be. Not from a place of fear, but from a place of confidence and clarity. Right. So physiological sigh, that was it. Okay. Now a visualization. Okay. Call this a joy pop. And so it's very simple. It's very sweet. You'll sit back wherever you are and close your eyes. And please don't do this driving.
Okay, good.
Do this in a place where you can, or reserve it for later, for when you can have a little privacy and just a couple of minutes. And so as you're here with your eyes closed, notice what it is that you're sitting on, and that you can let some of your body's weight down into what you're sitting on, and you'll be supported in that. You can allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears. And see if you can, one more time, let more of your weight down into what it is that you're sitting on. And can you sense into the rising of support that meets you? And just for another moment, listen to the sounds around you, like currently it's raining outside. There's cars driving by this uptown office. And here in this space that you find yourself, can you pull a memory forward? And it can be a memory from a long time ago. Doesn't matter what age, where you felt connected, really connected. Can you pull a memory forward of a time that you felt seen by someone who loved you? And in that, you felt freedom and ease. Just pull a memory forward. And once you have that memory, pull forward. Notice where you feel it in your physical body. There's no wrong answer here. Oftentimes, people feel it in the heart or the throat or the tummy. And so you have the memory, and try from that memory to grow the feeling inside your physical body. As if you could just like take a bath in that feeling of seen and cherished, supported and free. Just another couple of moments. You have the memory, you have the felt sense in your physical body. And ask that felt sense to expand inside your body, to grow bigger. As you begin to juice it up in you, you can let the memory go and just feel the feeling of supported, connected, clear, and loved. That we don't need the external world to make big changes for us. We can actually feel what it is we want to feel on the inside to then make better choices on the outside. And so if the feeling starts to fade, just pull the memory back. Juice up the feeling one more last time. Just one more last time of seen and supported. And from that, confident, clear in who you are and what you're up to. Confident in your goals and your ability to get there. And gently let the memory fade. Again, feel what you feel in your body. Bring your sense of hearing back to the sounds around you, welcoming yourself back. Taking a easy breath in and out. And that's part of what we train people to do in wellness, to be able to access more confidence, more clarity, more clear thinking. So welcome back. Yeah. How did that feel?
Janna, that juice is worth a squeeze. And it's so good. It's so good. There are not a lot of humans that can get me to quiet for however minutes that was. Right? Mm-hmm. However many minutes that was. That's hard. Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that I'd like to dismiss the myths about men and women, because in most of the classes that I've taken, it is as many men as it is women that are able to do that with you.
Yes.
You agree?
I agree. Yes. Yes. Especially the smart ones.
Exactly. Especially the smart ones. Thank you for that. I so appreciate it, and I think you and I could talk for days. For anyone who is listening, or who's still in the middle of their heartbreak or trying to decide which direction to go or transition, what reminder or truth from your practice do you want them to hold on to?
To stay the course, the answers will reveal themselves, and keep taking care of themselves. It's imperative that during the most difficult times of life that we take care of what we're eating, how we treat our bodies, what we say to ourselves inside. It's imperative for us to stay high functioning during those lowest moments of life.
What is one wellness habit that you swear by?
Working out.
Which kind of working out?
Right now it's weight training. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. I do like 200 squats a day while I throw the ball to my dogs.
Oh, fun.
Yep. Strong body, strong mind.
Strong body, strong mind. Okay, what is something that people are surprised to learn about you?
I was a flight attendant for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
I'm very short, but I have an 82-inch vertical reach, and that was one of the things. Yeah, I was a flight attendant for 4 months.
And you have traveled to a ton of places. What is your favorite place?
Honestly, I love North Carolina.
Oh, Lord.
I know.
Okay, your favorite place outside
of North Carolina.
North Carolina.
So many. I mean, I feel at home in like Bali. I feel at home in different. Okay, you want me to answer? One of my favorite places in the world is, God, so many. I love Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
Okay.
I do. You've been on many retreats with me there.
Yeah.
I feel that's like a second home for me. So I'll stick with that.
Tell me a little bit about ThriveWise.
ThriveWise Coaching is where a group of coaches and I, counselors and functional medicine doctors, have come together to offer clients ways to move forward in life. Our signature offering is called Momentum Journeys, and this is where we take you through a 3-month process to, for example, build your confidence, to build your ability to know what your purpose and how to move forward in your career. Another very popular one is connection, conscious connection with people. So often people feel lonely in this world, and even though we have like these machines that can connect us to people all over the world, there's still this inherent feeling of there has to be more, and we're here to coach you into that more. And then also the final momentum is vitality. And I started it because I want people to walk around and feel sexy in their bodies, to feel alive in their bodies again, and not just look beautiful on the outside, but feel that feeling of thriving and joy in life. So ThriveWise Coaching is your home for coaching. We do teens, we do one-on-ones, corporate coaching, and we do like group coaching. So we'd love to have you.
And where can our audience find you?
You can find me at on the Instagram, Janna Yoga. And you can find me at thrivewisecoach.com.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for being here and spending your time with us.
It was delightful. Thank you so much for having me.